Into the MCI Center in Washington, D.C. for their original dance, which is straight ahead tonight. Everybody in Canada right now talking about the ice dance champions of our nation.
They just took Canada by storm right away, and then took the world by storm after that.
They seemed to have this great relationship with the ice that was so natural.
I think they had a belief in themselves, and they knew they had talent, and they knew they deserved to win.
I hope that they're as happy with what they've done as everyone else is happy with them.
The biggest contribution from Shae and Vic, I definitely think, would be originality.
I think the sport has been much better because they're in it.
Finale of a long skating season. It is the biggie. It is the show, the dance, the World Figure Skating Championships. We will be dancing tonight. Original dance upcoming. And then later tonight, we invite you to come back to TSN, everybody, for the men's free skate. Hi, everybody. Rod Black with you. And as you know, figure skating has kind of been like a punching bag over the last year. A lot of negativity surrounding the sport, judging scandal. It seems every week there's some sort of story that connotates something negative. Well, if you were with us last night, there was something very refreshing in this sport right now. An absolutely marvelous free skate in the pairs competition. First medals awarded last night. They went to China. Zhuoya Sheng and Han Baozhao. Absolutely sizzling performance. Had 4 6.0s. As good as it gets. And it was good. And we will show you Zhuoya Sheng, Han Baozhao's performance in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about dance. Tracy Wilson, I think we still have a few tingles up our spine after last night. And maybe Shae-Lynn, Bourne, and Victor Kraatz could provide some thrills for Canadians this week.
Oh, I think that's in store for us for sure. It's interesting, Shae-Lynn, Bourne, Victor Kraatz have not met their chief rivals, Lobacheva and Averbukh from Russia, since last year at the World Championships when they finished second to the Russians. In the compulsory dance, they were in the other group, so really the competition begins here in the original dance. Shae-Lynn and Victor need to be first or second to have a clear shot at the gold in the free dance.
Say it ain't so. Is this it for them?
They're saying this is it for them. They said after the compulsory dance that that's the last compulsory dancing competition for them, and I'm going to predict they're going to go out in style.
So this is their last original dance upcoming, and then, of course, the free dance, and everybody's talking about the opportunity to win a world title. We'll have the pairs free skate in a moment from last night, and then upcoming the original dance right here on TSN at the 2003 Worlds. Of Bulgaria in second place, Navka and Kostomarov of Russia in third, Marie-France Dubreuil, Patrice, Lauzon. Right now in a tie for ninth. Keep in mind that there are 2 pools. They are 5th in their pool. And some of the other skaters in that pool from Australia, Estonia, Lithuania, places all around the world. And in Pool A, Irina, Lobacheva, Ilia, Averbukh, Bourne and Kratz's biggest rival here. Russia leading, Ukraine second, Israel third. Lang and Chernyshov of the United States fourth. Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe right now in a tie for 13th. They are 7th in their pool. And speaking of Wing and Lowe, that's where we begin. On ice for their original dance. And they are ecstatic to be back at another World Championship.
From Italy are currently in first place.
Their last World Championships was the 2000 in Nice Worlds.
Representing Canada,
skated well in the compulsory dance, now their original dance, and the rhythm combination, as it has been all season, is Memories of a Grand Ball. Any 2 or 3 of waltz, polka, march, or galop. They will skate 2 selections from Johann Strauss, Roses from the South, and then Amidst Thunder and Lightning. element in the original dance, that spin. Also, 2 lifts are required and 2 step sequences. On their circular sequence. See how they skate very close together in a dance hold. They were 15th at the World Championships in Nice, sitting tied for 13th here, and I think they have a good opportunity to move up. Their choreography is excellent. It's by Igor Spielban. They trained with him in Detroit. Quite intricate, but also very musical. Watching for unison, very intricate footwork, and a fast tempo. Well done.
Yeah, that was unison, I'd say. There is a team that has, for a long time, been ranked 3rd in Canada and has never bellyached, never complained, gone out about their business, just looking not to win a world medal, just to get to the World Championships and be part of it and look for personal bests. And quite often, those are the stories you don't hear about in sports, and it's a good story.
They have not sat back and kind of waited for a position to open up, though, and that's where they have my respect. Time and time out, they challenge themselves with the difficult choreography. They skate because they love to skate, they love to compete and perform. But as you say, no belly aching. They don't say, you know, wait around for their turn. They continue to improve. Lovely position on the dance spin, and you can see Megan's bright expression. She's charming. Choreography by Igor Spielban is difficult, and it builds, and I like the way it goes with the music. Often the dance teams skate through the music. You know, the music is playing and they're skating, but there's no relation between the two. A very complex straight line sequence. Aaron says one of the more difficult ones they've done. Look at how quickly they're having to move. Totally unforgiving because the tempo is so fast. If they get out of position, they don't have a chance to kind of regain their composure. They have to go all out. Look at the speed. And you know what? As a former ice dancer, I could just tell they're so well trained that they could go out and just push all out in the performance and enjoy it. They weren't having to kind of think about what they were doing. It was just using that music and entertaining the audience.
Life is sometimes about timing, quite often about timing. They have skated in the era of Bourne and Kraatz in Canada, hence why there are so many third-place finishes, or a couple of, they have finished second as well, but they have been around longer than Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz skating together.
Sitting behind Bourne and Kraatz and Dubreuil and Lauzon. 3 fine teams, a great problem to have.
Here are the marks, ascending order again. Range of 4-4 to 5-1. Probably the best way if you're at home marking scores. Take the middle of that. Probably about a 4-7, 4-8. And compare it to the rest. Here 4-5 to 5-2 again, probably around a 4-8, 4-9. and use that as your barometer for the rest of the night. They're currently in second place here. Bourne and Kraatz and Dubreuil, Lauzon still to skate. Up, just finishing here. The original dance in Washington, D.C. upcoming. Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz on the ice. This has been a season of lasts, and they're looking for a first. World Championship gold.
My earliest memory was when I was working with Lloyd and Isabel in Montreal, and José Picard said, "Ushi, there is a guy here, he has the knees that you like."
It was a really good match. Within 2 minutes of stroking together, we said this is a great match, and that was the start.
They were talking about this junior team in Moncton at Nationals, and they were talking about this junior team that had this, with this German guy who had this awesome knee bend.
Well, Shae-Lynn had been a competitor in pair skating before. She had been to Junior Worlds in pairs, but she had never done dancing competitively before. So she already had a good stroking style.
It's so easy to remember my first encounter with Bourne and Kraatz because their first World Championships in Prague was my last championship. And I remember sort of feeling a little beat up by the sport, competing for so long and just losing my passion, being on the end side of it, and then seeing their enthusiasm and energy. I was slightly envious, but I was curious, and I thought, oh, sport's in good hands now.
You know, I had for years, I had that dream about skating low and stuff like that. And since they couldn't do a quad, but I was working with Elvis at the same time. So we came up with a low skating.
We came up with the idea of working on the hydroblading. And they were the first to really take it to the extremes that they took it to.
I think they took ice dancing to another level. I think the biggest contribution that I found is that a lot of people, when I was working with them, used to come up to me and said, "I never liked ice dancing, but I come to watch it now."
I think the thing about Shae and Vic skating I find most inspiring is the fact that every year that they have trained, they've gotten better. And I think as an athlete and as a figure skater, myself included, you know, everybody wants, that's the goal, to strive to improve every single year, and they've achieved that goal, and I think that's remarkable.
They've had a lot of knocks along the way. They were just persistent, kept working hard, were always positive in interviews, never knocked anybody for holding them down or whatever. They just kept looking ahead.
It's going to seem like there's a big empty space, so I don't think they'll ever be forgotten.
I really hope they win, because it's a long time coming. They deserve to be world champions.
And here they are, four-time world bronze medalists, silver medal last year, 10-time Canadian champions. And if they're going out, what a way to go if they can win gold. Every part of the puzzle this year has been very strong, including the original dance.
I think this is the best original dance that they've ever had. level is in exactly the right place. They've got good speed and energy, but also terrific control. On one of the twizzle sequences, 0.1 deduction.
Shae-Lynn born Victor Kraatz, their last world championship, they say. Have thrilled Canadian audiences over the years. Even during warm-up, they had the crowd on its feet, and certainly in that straight line section, you can feel the crowd rising, and they're cheering it on. You mentioned there might have been a slight little bobble in there?
Yes, it looked like Victor had some difficulties on one of the twizzles. I love the way this program was choreographed to the music. Made the most of the way the music was building towards the end. They started out beautifully, as I mentioned, when they were skating, just in the right place as far as their performance, pushing it, but it was still controlled. Very smooth and fluid. And here now is a look at the straight line sequence. So watch the feet. Judges looking to see that they're in unison, and a required element of the straight line sequence is the twizzle section. Here it comes right now. There's the first one right on, and you can see the second one, Victor stumbled. So a minimum deduction for that. Like in the single short program, there are deductions in the original dance too. It did not detract from the overall performance, particularly for the audience, but it could be proved to be costly in the end. It's a beautiful program, and the reason it's my favorite original dance is I just think that the way they use their edges, they got to the top so quickly because of their fine technique, and they really took advantage of that in this original dance.
Marie-France Dubreuil and Patrice Lauzon on the ice. They are next in this original dance. So back-to-back Canadian teams. Marks coming, and again, their closest rivals, Bourne and Kraatz, are the Russians Lobacheva and Averbukh, who won the world title by a close vote last year.
And it's the little baubles that have hurt them so badly in the past. It hurt them. They dropped from a bronze medal at the Olympics because of a mistake at the end. And here, these composition marks, I think, are very low. There's a lot of room there.
Again, that stumble, though, could prove costly. Presentation marks higher. We'll watch the rest, including Dubreuil and Lauzon, who are next from Washington.
Waltz and polka. Please welcome now Marie-France Dubreuil and Patrice Lauzon.
Just watched Victor Kraatz in the kiss and cry area after those marks came up. He looked a little bit shocked by the 5-6s, so they're going to have to wait and watch backstage, and we're going to watch Marie-France Dubreuil and Patrice Lauzon, also of Canada, currently in their group 5th, so a tie for 9th. A season of change for this team, including a big move overseas to train.
and flow across the ice in the circular sequence. Required element and a little stumble there. Watch the twizzles. The most animated I've seen them all season. Marie-France has been hampered by a back injury. That's behind her. She got that sorted out a few weeks ago. She's been able to train and skate free of pain. Unfortunately, another costly mistake there, and it came on the circular sequence, so that will affect their marks. But overall, I thought this was a much better skated dance than we saw at the Canadian Championships and the Four Continents.
Well, the stumble by Victor Kraatz earlier looked like it certainly affected the composition marks for Bourne and Kraatz. Will this glitch by Patrice also affect their marks? We could see some real movement here.
Yes, we could. They were moving so quickly and very close together, and you could see Patrice just caught his toe pick when he was going to step forward, and that's because Marie-France was just a little bit too far in front of them. But when they're rotating that quickly, that's what happens. It can get away from you ever so slightly, and that's all it takes.
A few years ago, many of those little missteps were not picked up by judging panels, and the deductions weren't there. And one thing that we have seen, despite still some discrepancies within panels and some judging by protocol at times, is that if you make a mistake now, you generally will be penalized.
Yes, and I like that. I also like the fact that they brought in required elements like this, the straight line sequence. It allows you to really look at the skaters and see how strong they are as individuals. They skated that well. Their unison was on, but it got a little bit slow and tight. You could see they were afraid to make another mistake, so they really didn't push through the twizzle section. They kind of held it in a little bit, and so didn't end the straight line with that big punch. But, you know, it's a trade-off. When these skaters test themselves with the difficulty, that's what happens with the mistakes. You make the little mistakes, and I much prefer that the skaters go out, put the content in, because I believe they're better in the long run, and it's much more interesting to watch.
This team will enjoy its time in the sun, Canadian sun, next year, of course, with Shae-Lynn, Bourne, and Victor Kraatz skating away. Low marks, 4.9 to 5.3, makes you wonder that perhaps next year is the time where they might make a little more movement, and the move to France to train and everything they've gone through might start to really pay off. Again, we may see some movement in this original dance, up or down for both Canadian teams.
Are in second place.
Right now, they're second behind Bourne and Kraatz, with more teams here to skate. And on the ice, the champions of Ukraine, Elena, Grushina, Ruslan, Goncharov, team that really started the season with a bang. And have put themselves in the running here.
You mentioned they started their season with a bang. 3 wins in their first 3 competitions on the Grand Prix circuit. They came 4th at the European Championships and 4th at the Grand Prix final. Their ice coverage, you can see they're not covering the ice very quickly. Not a lot of flow. They're almost walking. And that's what's going to keep them out of medal contention with this dance. Section right on.
Grushina Goncharov of Ukraine. We'll see how this stacks up against the rest of the field. Again, we have a number of teams still to skate here, and of course we are watching Bourne and Kraatz of Canada to see how their marks, which were not the best certainly that they would have liked, will measure up with the rest. You have to keep yourself in line heading to that free dance. World champions are next. This original dance, we're 30% of the final mark, 20% going to the compulsory dance for Grushina Goncharov. Again, we talk about staying close to the top 3 if you want to get a medal or you want to win a world title. The OD really sets you up.
Yes, it does. Sets the stage for the free dance. There was a lot of nice moments in this original dance. I like the way Elena holds her back and uses her head to emphasize the character of the music. A little slow in places, and it surprises me because they're both quite good skaters, but often throughout that dance I could hear their toe picks digging in, which means that they were a little bit out of sync, and their technique wasn't quite on.
Further to the Bourne and Kraatz story, again, the judging system, 14 judges, 9 count. We don't know the nationalities, and obviously we become very skeptical and cynical in the skating world. Some people always kind of looking for conspiracies or a pro judging panel based on an Eastern Bloc. We have to tell you, there is no pro Eastern Bloc really in this panel, so the marks that are out there are a pretty good representation of what the judges feel. And right now, based on those marks for Bourne and Kraatz, they didn't really like that original dance.
Well, they have left a lot of room. They were the first of the top 8 skaters to compete, and so the judges had to leave room. Now is the test. How low were those marks? because on the ice, they're chief rivals.
They represent Russia and will be doing a waltz and polka this afternoon. Please welcome now Irina Lobacheva and Ilia Averbukh.
Not only their chief rivals, the last time they met was a year ago in Nagano. First time this season they go head-to-head. Lobacheva, Averbukh, and Bourne and Kraatz. They already know that there have been some low marks out there for the Canadians.
And as seasoned veterans, they will make the most of that. A lot of skaters using Johann Strauss for their original dances. Interesting with all the music out there that the skaters can time and time again pick the same piece of music. It's a total coincidence.
They have always been very animated, Tracy.
Yes, you can feel their expression way in the highest rows. And they've always been very good original dance skaters. They get into the character of the dance. They're performing this very well. Nice lilting knee action. And now building into the straight line sequence, watch the feet. That appeared to be slightly out of sync to me.
Might have been a little out of sync, but perhaps not as glaring as the mistake by the Canadians.
You're right. Not as glaring.
See if the judges pick it up. Irina Lobacheva, Ilia Averbukh of Russia, the world champions.
Well, they knew they had to come out and lay it down. They held nothing back in that performance. They have, she in particular, Irina, has a lovely line, which always bothers me that she's over costume, because sometimes I think it takes away for their beautiful natural positions.
A team that also says it will move on after this world championship.
The opening of the dance, they set the stage. Irina twizzling within his arms. My concern here in the circular sequence, and not that glaring, but they got a little bit caught up there and slowed down. You could see noticeably that they were not skating as quickly at the end of the circular sequence as they were at the beginning, which, you know, when you are comparing the top two teams in the world, I think that is quite important. One of their dance lifts, Now let's take a look at the straight line sequence. Here they looked just slightly out, and you can see there's quite a distance between them. The top team should be close together. Now watch the twizzle, watch Irina's. Nope, the twizzle section was just fine.
Well, this team, along with Canada's Bourne and Kraatz, you base it on last year's results. The top 2 teams in the world, will the results stay the same? I guess we'll find out, of course, in the free dance after the OD results here. You'd also have to think that the team that wins the bronze medal, if they're young enough and they stick in, after this, they become technically the #1 team in the world with these 2 top teams skating away. Makes you wonder why they may not want to stay in to the next Olympics, although they've been around for a long time.
And I think that's key, that they've been around for a long time, and I don't think that their skating has improved noticeably over the last few years. They've struggled somewhat just trying to find the right vehicle, but very strong in this original dance.
So we will watch these marks again. Bourne and Kraatz had a few 5.6s, a couple of 5.7s for composition. Looks like they're happy. It looks like they might have seen the marks already. There's actually a 5.5, 5.6, and 5.7s. We have a split panel, a 5-4 split with Bourne and Kraatz. 1 judge difference between first and second. So it is very close still between the Russian team and the Canada team. And more in a moment from Washington. Warm up for the final flight, just the final moments now. Original dance right now, Irina Lobacheva and Ilia Averbukh in first place by 1 judge over Shae-Lynn, Bourne and Victor Kraatz. And that position may be tenuous right now for Bourne and Kraatz. We'll have to see what happens with the rest of these skaters now. Here's Debbie Wilkes with Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe.
Megan and Aaron, it was a wonderful performance. It looked like it had the attack you were looking for.
It felt so comfortable. We've trained this program so hard, and just felt easy to just go and let ourselves be free.
The straight line step sequence at the end was, again, the best I've seen from you this season.
Yeah, it was nice and close. I mean, like Megan said, our training has paid off in the last 4.5 weeks. We just ran through this dance almost every day, a couple times a day, and it paid off today. You know, it was like second nature out there today.
You mentioned this building was reminiscent of somewhere pretty nice in your history.
It really feels like GM Place back home in Vancouver. So I don't know, it just feels familiar and comfortable, and just
so many Canadians out there. It does feel like GM Place. You know, all the flags out there. It's been good.
We all wish you congratulations. Good luck in the free dance.
Thank you.
Well, you guys were good too. More good stuff to come from the Worlds on TSN.
Russia, and will be doing a waltz and march this afternoon. Please welcome Tatiana, Navka, and Roman Kostomarov.
The jockeying for position in this horse race continues. Setting up the free dance, of course. Right now, Canada's Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz in second place. And that's where they want to stay if they have a shot at world gold. But more teams to skate. Here's Tatiana, Navka, and Roman Kostomarov of Russia.
And this will be a departure from Strauss. They will skate to music from the movie My Sweet and Affectionate Beast. Stature, they make the most of their height. Beautiful long lines created. Their leg positions and a glitch there, not on a required element though, so not a required deduction, and out of sync again there. You talked about how important that bronze medal is, Rod. This is one of the teams that want to be on that podium to set themselves up for the next few years, perhaps trying a little too hard at this point in their dance.
Well, you know that the Russian Federation feels this team is the heir apparent team to Lobacheva, Averbukh. Find out what their marks are. We'll watch the rest of the teams, and the Bulgarians could have a big, big influence on what happens before the free dance. We'll be back. Bulgarians on the ice right now, getting ready for their original dance. Lobacheva, Averbukh by one judge right now over Bourne and Kraatz, and the team that could knock Bourne and Kraatz into third, and if they do, virtually not much of a shot for gold if Bourne and Kraatz get knocked down, is the team on the ice right now. Keep in mind, however, that the Canadians do have some first-place ordinals, so that might save them a little bit in terms of losing their hold on second place.
A lot of little mistakes that we've seen today. Tatiana and Roman, you could see they got off there and were not able to recover. They kept pushing it out and then went on to make another little mistake. And I don't feel that they ever kind of got into the program and skated like they can. You talked about the Russian Federation seeing this couple as the heir apparents to the Russian crown. I believe that too. I think they have so much potential, but I don't think we saw their very best in this performance. I think they became unglued with the mistakes early on, never fully recovered, and skated the performance quite tight.
Do you like the drum stuff?
Didn't work today. It didn't, but I have in the past, Rod. I have.
Navka and Kostomarov, who were third in their qualifier, compulsory, which meant they were tied for fifth place coming in, and currently are in fourth place. Make that third place right now. Navka, Kostomarov are third behind Bourne and Kraatz, but keep in mind a few more teams to come, which could push them down a bit. Look out for this team down the road, though. Lots and lots of potential.
They represent Bulgaria and will be performing a march and waltz this afternoon. Please welcome now Elena, Denkova, and Maxim Staviski.
And you know Bourne and Kraatz and their camp are probably watching this right now, because this is the team that could be the X factor. Albena, Denkova, Maxim Staviski. They were second behind Shae-Lynn and Victor in the compulsory.
Different style of original dance. This is the Rococo style from the 18th century. And you watch how they keep the character throughout the dance, expressed with their beautiful arm movements and their straight backs. A refined and elegant dance. I like the fact that it is unique and unlike the other original dances that we've seen today. A twizzle section here, and they were off. Oh, boy.
Is it nerves today, Tracy, do you think?
Yes, it is. There's so much at stake.
Can't recall an original dance at a world championship with so many stumbles.
All of these teams have been fighting, jockeying back and forth all year for positions in the world of ice dance. And this is a team that easily is one of the top three teams in the world.
Well, the Bulgarians had their shot, but may have blown it with their mistake. A lot of errors here.
They may still get to the podium. Doubtful, though, that they'll overtake Bourne and Kraatz with that performance.
You're watching the World Skating Championships on TSN. Team that really stood up to be counted last year, not on the ice, but off the ice, when they delivered a petition to the ISU complaining about the result in the ice dance competition. They showed a lot of guts, and perhaps that might have precipitated a lot more people standing up and skating.
Well, they had everything to lose. They were the 5th-ranked team in the world when they stood up to challenge the judging at last year's World Championships. There's so much I like about this team, particularly their choreography, perhaps the most difficult program in the competition. But you can see the little slip by Albena on the twizzle section, at least a 0.1 deduction for that. That, whenever it's on the twizzle section on the straight line sequence, it's a mandatory deduction. But again, the difficulty in that program, the character of the dance, the way they twisted within each other's arms constantly, that even upped the degree of difficulty. And I'm glad to see they're getting rewarded with those marks. And hey, they just might end up in 3rd place.
They're 3rd right now. Bourne and Kraatz is 2nd, is safe. And here is Debbie Wilkes with Marie-France Dubreuil and Patrice Lauzon.
Marie and Pat, how did this performance fare for you?
Well, it was a lot of fun. It was, we decided to put everything on the dancing, not thinking technique too much, but just perform it and have fun. We danced it a little bit better, I think, at the final for my taste, but it was still fun to dance.
What was better about it at the final?
I don't know, maybe a bit less nervous. We had a little stumble here. I don't know if anybody saw it, but we saw it, so little stuff. But overall it was pretty good.
Although the marks didn't really reflect much, at least in the technical mark, they were both very close.
Yeah, well, I think we still have a lot of technical things that are very hard, so hopefully we're rewarded for that.
Best of luck in the free.
Thank you.
We'll still hear from Bourne and Kraatz, who are 2nd. We still have Team USA to skate from the USA and the 2010.
Another couple representing the United States performing Lauzon polka this afternoon. Please welcome now Tanith, Belbin, and
Our final dance team in this original dance. Bourne and Kraatz 2nd right now. Lobacheva, Averbukh 1st, and a Canadian connection, Tanith Belbin from Canada, along with Benjamin Agosto, representing the United States. This is a team that has really been on an upward ride this season, gaining a lot of respect and recognition.
Their music selections, La Traviata and Jolly Robbers. In the world last year, easily will finish in the top 10 this year. And like Shae-Lynn, Tanith was a pair skater in Montreal, training with Canadian coach Paul Wirtz. She was too tall and couldn't find a partner in Canada, and that is why she's skating with Benjamin and representing the United States.
Some debris from their costume on the ice from Tanith's dress. She's going to skate by it right here. And I know the referee is looking at it. And on the other side, there is some debris as well on the ice.
What a shame. That is very distracting when you're worried about bits on the ice. They're making a quick rise this year, in part because of their excellent choreography by Igor Spielband. He uses a wonderful variety of deep edges and turns, difficult footwork, and they're handling it beautifully. More More feathers, though, falling from her dress.
Despite their costume problems, nice original dance. Looks like a flock of birds came through here, though. Feathers all over the ice. Tanith is very happy, but they had to dodge some of the debris. Born in Kingston, Ontario, Tanith Belbin, Canadian, representing the United States. Final dancers. The original dance setting up the free dance here in Washington. Stay with us. Judges' marks next. We're flying for Belbin and Agosto.
And their feet were flying, too. This was one of the more confident performances in the original dance. They skated that so well. Unfortunately, though, distracting for the judges to be seeing the feathers flying from the costume as they're skating. And I'll bet you that'll hurt them in the marks. Very difficult to get caught up in the performance when you're watching them avoid feathers. And look at these marks for presentation and the range in ordinals from 3rd to 8th, which is unheard of in ice dance. And I bet that's part of the problem was the feathers.
So right now, Belbin and Agosto, by the way, you saw those big sideburns on Benjamin. They really come into play in the free dance. He does his Elvis routine coming up. It's been a treat all season long. Lobacheva and Averbukh leading by 1 judge over Shae-Lynn, Bourne, and Victor Kraatz, who still are in line for a potential world title. Denkova, Staviski in 3rd place. Megan Wing and Aaron Lowe in 12th. Marie-France Dubreuil, Patrice, Lauzon have been to 4 world championships. This is their 4th. They've been 10th twice, 11th once, and they're in 10th place right now. And here is Debbie Wilkes alongside Shae-Lynn, Bourne, and Victor Kraatz.
This was a close one today. How did you feel out there?
We felt great. I mean, we skated the program so well, except we made a little glitch at the end in the straight line footwork. So it wasn't a perfect program, but we're excited about tomorrow. We're still pleased with how we performed, but the free dance will determine who wins and who doesn't. So we'll give it our best tomorrow.
And so much support from the audience. Vic, I'm sure you felt it.
The audience is incredible, you know, whether they're American or Canadian. You know, they're all behind us, and I think it's just of an advantage for us because they make us feel at home.
Now, what's the strategy for the free dance?
We have a great free dance. We just want to show it. I mean, we just want, hopefully the people will love it. We skate first in the last group tomorrow, so we're going to give it our best and skate the best we can.
How does it feel being that it will be your final performance at Worlds?
Personally, that doesn't make really any difference. I mean, you still have to skate, you know, really well out there, and I think that's really what I'm concentrating on, not about being the last world championship.
Congratulations today, and best of luck for the free dance.
Thank you very much.